Come on, why? You all right? What's the matter?
Nothing. Nothing.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What about afterward? Where'd you go afterward?
Nowhere. You gonna watch me walk away?
Maybe.
You should.
Okay, we are here in the Zatima relationship courtroom. I am the Honorable Judge Carden, and I'm going to wait to present the case from both sides. This is one of those times where if I had reliable internet service in this house as compared to my apartment, I would probably have some people on here, so we can definitely hash this out. But the topic of this video is about who was in the wrong more than the other person. Fatima for going to meet with Ian at the coffee shop without telling Zach, or Zach, I'm not even going to say go to the party because, you know, Fatima said, hey, go have a good time with your boys. She just said, don't do anything stupid. Or for going to the party and getting, you know, a dance or two from Deja. And in both cases, both parties were exposed via snapshots from their friends. You know, Zach's friend Tony taking a photo of Fatima giving Ian a hug, hugging Ian at the coffee shop, and then Belinda unknowingly taking a snap of Zach enjoying his dance from Deja at the party. So, let's boil down to it. Okay. On Fatima's side, I can see why she didn't tell Zach about the coffee house meetup. But the thing is, Zach called her as she was leaving work. It was about 4 or something. She was in the parking garage. He could tell over the phone something was wrong, but she, kept insisting, I'll tell you when I get home. Mind you, Angela did tell, Fatima earlier in episode 4 about the whole, hey, go to dinner with Ian, but make sure you tell Zach about it. Just like in the situation with the coffee shop, you need to tell Zach about it. But she chose not to. Now, a lot of people jump to Fatima's defense. There have been plenty of times, Jeremy, where Zach has met up with Karen and did this and that and didn't tell Fatima. I'm not saying you're wrong, but there isn't any immediate situation that comes to mind because I'm looking at after the season 3 finale of Sistas, at that point where Zach had given Karen all of the money he quote unquote owed her, and they had that clean split in the salon. But for whatever reason after that, Tyler decided to write it where Karen needed closure and this and that to move on. And Zach at that point was ducking and dodging her phone calls, didn't want to have anything to do with her. Hell, she had to get Danny to call Zach just to get him on the phone. And then when she wanted to meet in person, Zach asked Fatima permission first, and then, she gave her blessing in order to, test if he was really over her. And he made it clear, look, this is taking place at Danny's house. I'm just going to go over there, she has to say, and I will call you the minute I step out of there. Then, of course, in a similar situation, Hayden messed around with the phone call that Fatima did at work with her girl, most likely Angela, and then sent that to Zach, and that's when he started tripping. So, in any case, he just went to a hotel room as opposed to going to a party dancing with strippers. But, it is what it is. So, from my recollection, and look, I could be wrong. I make mistakes, but I can't think of any immediate time from the time that Zach and Fatima were officially a couple. Zach going over to the salon to beg Karen, to believe him that I didn't steal your credit card, leading to them having, fucking in the office. I hate to be that guy, but technically that doesn't count as cheating because he and Fatima weren't really even a thing. Zach was the one who was constantly asking, hey, what are we? But Fatima didn't give a straight answer. So I'm just saying. But no, I think that, you know, like, for example, Zach has hidden stuff before because he didn't want to talk about it. The Tony situation about how, hey, come meet me at the hotel, or I'm going to, you know, drop dime on you, or hey, you know, sleep with me, or I'll, you know, talk to the SEC. In those situations, yeah, he could have told her, but I think it's A, because it's a lot for him to process. B, he didn't want her to worry. And C, sometimes when bombs like that drop in your life, you need to let things process just a little bit before you're able to share. And the thing is, these two are open and honest with each other, but they're also humans, which means they're not perfect and they're just like us. It makes sense for, you know, something bad to happen and your partner to be overly concerned and they want to be there for you to help make it better. But sometimes you just aren't ready to talk about things. And I think for me personally, what I did not like about how Fatima handled this, and look, she's been through hell in the past, not even 24 hours, from Belinda, her best friend in the whole world, betraying her by trying to get with her man, but then running into her ex and then, you know, dealing with that, then him popping up at the job and then announcing he has cancer. So that's a lot for her to take in, and I can understand her not wanting to express all that all at once. She needs time to process. And the way Zach found out about the coffee shop thing didn't help the situation either, because yeah, it looks shady as, you know, hell, because earlier that day he was telling Bryce, is like, look, you know, when you see somebody else that they said they're not over, I mean they're over, but then you get the feeling like something's still there. That's like the abridged version of what he said, but he said it very detailed, like basically saying like, hey, Fatima said she's over this guy, but then I saw how he was looking at her, and then how she was kind of acting funny after those two, you know, she saw her. So it's like, could there be residual feelings there? Who knows? But then you combine that with the confirmation that she did go see him behind Zach's back, and they were hugging and they were sitting close. I could see why he's upset. So when Zach called, I do think that she should have at least said, hey, there's this coffee, you know, meetup. Can I go? Because it does look bad. What makes Fatima look worse is the fact that when Zach, you know, caught up to her on the jog and, you know, talked with Ian, she was like, hey, you remember that guy I said who, you know, kicked me to the curb to get married and whatnot? Yeah, this is him. Ha ha! Well, hey, man, thanks for messing that up, because you allowed us to find each other. And yeah, he even invited me to dinner. No, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. So they pretty much laughed in his face with rejecting the invitation for a one-on-one meetup. So for her to do that behind Zach's back looks bad. Yes, I get it. Fatima's going through a lot. But overall, I think that was something you should have told him. And I'm not saying Zach should have been sympathetic about the whole cancer thing, but at the very least, he doesn't understand their history like we learned in episode 5. So it's like, damn, no wonder this is heavy, you know, from the pregnancy to the abortion to the massive heartbreak. This is something Fatima needs to, you know, process on her own for the time being in order to move forward with Zach. But I think that Zach showed yet again the immaturity aspect of his character, where he quickly regressed to the person he was, hence why he, you know, showed his ass at that party once he had a few drinks and saw Deja's fine ass. But we'll just have to move forward with that right now. Now we move over to the Zach side of things, and like I said, he really didn't handle this well. It goes back to watching Sistas, where whenever he would get upset about something with Fatima, he would be pouty, he would, you know, act a certain way and do something stupid. Like, you know, after he thought Fatima was playing him from that recording Hayden sent to his phone, and then he lied about getting back together with Karen, and then she kicked him out. He went to the hotel, but to be fair, she had his bags pre-packed, like she already knew he was going to fuck up. And, you know, he was just mad. But then, of course, he got that phone call from the bank about having over $1 million in his account now. So there's that aspect of it. But for the Zach thing, his boys were there making things worse. It's kind of like, they say how when it comes to like celebrity fuck ups, like, when, hey, this star was seen cheating on, his wife or his girlfriend and whatnot. And then they're like, behind closed doors, they can settle it. Like, usually the partner sometimes knows about these kind of things, and then it gets handled behind closed doors. But once it makes it to the public eye, things get, blown out of proportion because of the fact everybody and their mother's chiming in. So you have to reopen old wounds and whatnot. So yeah, it's kind of like Nathan and Tony were the hype men, or should I say Nathan was the drunk man, and, Tony was the hype man trying to like expose Fatima for being foul in order to get their old dog back. But it's one of those situations where Zach found out because, Fatima was already acting funny and he knew something was wrong. And then from there, the photo just really had him in his feelings, and he was just ready to kind of resort back to who he was. But thankfully he didn't go that far. At least I don't think so. I don't know. But it just seems to me that, after he got out of the shower and Fatima was in the tub, and he was lightly interrogating her because, you could tell by the makeup on her face that she was crying. And that was a nice close-up they did, because I didn't notice it at first, but I'm like, yeah, there are like tear lines on her face. But he basically lightly interrogated her because she did say, I didn't go anywhere after work, but I did go to the coffee shop in the same building. But it basically took like 5 softball questions until she revealed it was with Ian. So yeah, it's kind of like, Fatima, that's a really big thing you kept from me. You should have told me about it. And of course, I felt for both of them. Zach feeling betrayed, and then at the same time, Fatima being caught in a very tough position, because here she is juggling with the feelings of her friend who stabbed her in the back because she wanted to get penetrated in the back by Fatima's man. And then you have the ex reappearing, which created a hurricane of emotions. And on top of that, their conversation in the coffee shop really bringing back old, feelings and whatnot. But Fatima handled it like a G about how, hey, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm happy. I love someone else. I do have love for you. Sounds very familiar when it comes to how Zach says, Karen, I'm not in love with you, but I always have love for you. And, then the whole guilt trip about taking care of his mom and all this other bullshit. But yeah, Zach really, showcasing his hurt and attitude just created more tension than there needed to be. It's like, like he was saying, I thought we had agreed never to go to sleep angry at each other. I'm not mad, Zach. So it's just like, yeah, Zach, don't leave the house, especially if you're going to a party with your old boys, and do something stupid. You should just talk it out with your girl first. That way you don't leave angry and do something you regret. Zach, don't do anything stupid. Too late. You already did. So it seemed like, Zach would do something out of spite as opposed to using his better judgment. So, I mean, that's one thing to note at the party when he's like, you know what, I'm about to leave, especially after seeing Heather there as well. He calls Bryce like, yo, man, I need you to help talk me down from doing something, which is interesting how you have that friendship dynamic of Tony and Nathan, who know the old Zach or the true Zach, but not really understanding he has grown and changed for the most part. But that doesn't mean he can't backslide into who he was. Hence why he called Bryce, who's more of the positive end of that spectrum, in order to kind of talk him out of doing something dumb. So from there, Fatima eventually, I actually skipped a few parts there. So as he's about to leave to go meet Bryce at the diner on the same street, that's when he runs into Deja. They kind of have more flirty banter. Keep in mind that at this point, Zach never told Deja about, having a housemate, aka his woman Fatima. So it appears that she's under the impression that he's single and available, not just the landlord who lives right next door. But in any case, after handing her the keys, which could be one of those things where, did he hand her the keys out of spite for Fatima? Did he hand her the keys because he's attracted to her? Or was this a legit, you know what, I was going to give it the duplex to you anyway because your credit and all checked out. And then after, giving over the keys, found out about her being a stripper at private parties. And as a result, well, he followed her back in and got a few dances, had a few too many drinks, and eventually was escorted out by Bryce. And based on Deja's reaction to, yeah, you need to get him out of here, I don't think they engaged in sex. It just seemed like, Zach was just wilding out. So from there, which is an appropriate comparison because of the whole Nick Cannon with all the kids and Zach and all these alleged baby mamas running around. So from there, Belinda sends a picture to Fatima and Angela from the party of Zach getting that dance. So now Fatima is about to turn out. And of course we know about the whole Nathan slap and Deja being dragged out of the jacuzzi by her hair, but that's another situation. Now, who is more in the wrong? It's definitely hard to tell because of the fact that it's tough. I think they're both in the wrong. So I'm not going to sit up here and be mad at one person and not mad at the other. Two wrongs don't make a right, and I feel like Zach going to the party I don't have a problem with. I think it was when he went back in after Deja, that's where he messed up. That's where he messed up because he showed up to the party, had, one or two drinks, talked to his boys, saw Heather was there. He wasn't feeling the mood. He was like, let me get up out of here. Then when temptation reared its, I'm not even going to say ugly head because I'll be damned if I call Deja ugly. He decided to be led into temptation. Yeah, I walk through the valley of the shadow of temptation. I shall feel no lustful feelings for thy armor. Nah. He went back in there, got that dance. He was having a good time, and Fatima did say have a good time with the guys, but I don't think she meant that kind of fun. So, is it cool for him to get a lap dance or a private dance from Deja? Honestly, I'm going to say no, but given what Fatima knows about Zach's history with strippers and quote-unquote VIP rooms, I can understand why she will be pissed off. But I will say this. Good Lord. I really hope that they don't do anything dramatic. Like, Zach ought to know how bad Fatima messes up those who fucks her over. Next thing you know, he's going to wind up like Hayden, knocked out, unconscious, naked on the hood of his car in front of the house. I don't think I want to see that. But I do feel like both parties have a right to be upset with each other. But I will say that Zach's actions were fueled by lust and spite. Lust for Deja, but also spite for what Fatima did. Fatima's actions, I feel, were rooted in her own emotion because you had Angela there, tell Zach. And I feel like she did wrong, but I can understand why she did what she did. But I'm not saying she should have done what she done without consulting Zach first. So I'm going to say that I could see why Zach is more in the wrong here as opposed to Fatima. I will look, by the time I get to the editing stage of this video, I'll probably be like, man, I should have said that. But it's like, again, I can see them both wrong. They're both wrong for different reasons. But at the same time, I can understand why Fatima did what she did. I can understand why Zach did what he did. But it's going to be extremely awkward when you have your new tenant moving in and it's the same woman who gave you a dance. And then Fatima's like, who's this? And then Deja's going to be like, oh, you're taken? So, yeah, I feel like actions fueled by spite versus vulnerability and emotion are slightly worse. So, yeah, I can understand Fatima being mad, but she has to recognize that, well, you really fucked up too. So it's about who fucked up more, I guess. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I know it looks worse for Zach because of his quote-unquote reputation. But at the same time, it was kind of out of character for Fatima to do what she did without telling Zach because of their relationship. So What say you, jury? Who do you think was more in the wrong here? Fatima for being hugged up with Ian, or Zach for getting that dance and having Deja on his lap? I will say, yeah, the Zach thing looks worse because keep in mind, Zach kept his cool and decided, hey, this party ain't for me, I'm going to leave. But then when Deja showed up, he went back in and, you know, he was wilding out. Fatima wasn't going to the dinner with Ian, but then Ian caught her off guard, and then the whole cancer thing, and it's like, look, let's just meet at the coffee shop. She went to the coffee shop. They had an emotional moment, but she's like, you know what? Hey, we're done. I have a new man now. I'm happy. I'm out of here. And then he tried to throw the curveball of the whole mama thing, and, you know, that's another thing. But yeah, I will say it does look worse for Zach. So who do you think was more in the wrong? How do you think it's going to turn out? Do you think Deja will be a tenant for long, or do you think she'll get the boot really quick? Like and subscribe. Seriously, comment on this. I really want to get some feedback. I'll catch you on the next video, and follow me on social media. Links are in the description below.